future has become less certain following the election and its official result. For them, that ballot turned out not to be about creating a new Nigeria, but about strengthening the ruling APC party's grip on power. Well, expectedly, the APC loudly disagrees with that assessment, insisting that the Labour Party's crushed democratic hopes did not come about because of anyone being rigged out, but because Labour and the rest of the opposition are sore losers. And so the competing political sides are preparing to do battle in the courtroom. But with the outcome still very much in question, who will prove their case and light this country's path to democratic glory? Meanwhile, in the court of public opinion, controversy is billowing over Peter Obi, with questions about his arrest in London, whether he's a dual citizen, and allegations of treason against him, not to mention the nagging issue of that audio leak of what appeared to be a private conversation about a religious war between him and Bishop David Oyedepo, and of course the internecine crisis that seems to be tearing his Labour Party apart. Amid that explosion of multi-layered controversy, his aides have been scrambling to provide answers. And certainly these are seismic questions that need answers. But answers that should come from the man in the eye of the storm himself. Well, let's not keep his many fans and opponents waiting, because joining me now in the studio is the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi. Very, very delighted to have you here. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Charles, for inviting me.
And we know you've had a long day, because I saw you on the television at the Labour Day, the May Day celebrations earlier today, and you've gone from one meeting to the other, so we really appreciate your taking the time to talk to us.
Mood.
I like that. Now, there have been a lot of reactions trailing your apparent arrest in London by the British authorities. Some have said that you were being witch-hunted by the APC, others that a petition was sent against you, and still others that you were being impersonated. Can you tell us the circumstances of your purported apprehension in London and what has happened subsequently, and sort of clear the air on that? Did you commit an offence for which you were being stopped?
Thank you, Charles. One is, I was never arrested. I was never detained. And I did not commit any offense. I was stopped for a routine immigration check because there appears to be a duplication of my identity. And all this lasted for maximum of 20 minutes. And I was treated in what I do with all due respect. Charles, I lived in the UK in the 90s, say from 1993 until 2005. I
remember meeting you in London, actually, in that period.
Yes. Charles, not just that I lived there, from that 1993 till now is a period of 30 years. I have never been questioned, arrested, detained in any country in the world. I've never been, for any reason, found myself in any manner being questioned for any offense. I've not committed any offense. So it was a routine immigration check. And it lasted, like I said, less than 20 minutes. And I was actually given all the due respect by the border personality that interviewed me, who told me, your identity is duplicated, be careful. And actually had to walk me through what I can call the VIP process and everything. And I have a written document from British government. to this
I've
effect.
seen that document.
Thank you. I showed
Yeah,
it to you.
clarifying the
That he was never
situation.
detained, and it was just a few minutes question and everything. And they were Nigerians because I arrived on British Airways. So they were Nigerians who were queuing up. Even Woods here was even worried that I was asked to just wait for a few minutes. And when that happened, I explained it to them, and they said nothing. But in the traumatized and everything, because it's me, people said I was detained, committed an offense. People said even committed several offenses and everything. Oh, his company was closed. He wasn't paying tax. Charles, for the years I lived in Britain, never have I had any day been questioned. And I can say it, my taxes, my days were duly paid. In fact, most times they have refunded me money for overpayment. I've borrowed money, I've done everything globally. Not one day did I default in any. If you find one default, then it's not Peter Obi.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that point about the arrest. And in support of the point you're making, I have seen the letter from the British High Commission making it ineluctably clear that it was no such thing. Nevertheless, as you said, there was a huge hullabaloo about that in Nigeria. I mean, was that a humiliation for you, or at the very least embarrassing that all this was being talked about you, and I mean,
No,
even
not-
the people
Not
who
at
follow
all.
you
I
were
would have,
disappointed.
Charles, I would have made comment on it earlier, but these things happened during the what I call holy month, where for me as a Christian, it was a fasting period and period of the Ramadan. And I felt it is not time to make comments. I only answered one question within that period when I was mentioned with treason, because I felt it's a huge offense. And because it was actually mentioned where it shouldn't have been mentioned. Other than that,
Right.
I just felt this is the clarification. And I've just shown you the letter.
Yes.
I won't go about telling everybody and showing everybody the letter.
Yeah, that is true.
It just showed you where we've taken our rascality to, where people now come up with all sorts of things.
Well, some people said you were deported from the UK, but obviously not.
No, they saw it. I was routine check, and I was allowed to go.
Right.
They even saw where I attended churches and meetings and everything. But that's where we have reached.
But I mean, what sort of questions did they ask you when they took you in?
Nothing. I was there. Nobody took me to anywhere.
Right.
I was just in front of a counter, and I was asked a question, and they said, "There's something wrong with your identity. There's something wrong with your identity. Just give me a few minutes." And that's it. And I sat there for the few minutes. For about 15 minutes, he came back and said, "Your identity is duplicated. And if my identity is duplicated, you've lived abroad as identity theft,
Yeah, there is.
duplication, which I would say must have originated from here." But
Well, I'm
that is for another day.
Yeah, I'm glad you've clarified that point. But there's also another question being raised about whether you are a dual citizen. As you said, you lived in London for a long time. I mean, do you have dual nationality, either British, American, or elsewhere? Because I was reading somewhere that you were conferred with the honorary citizenship of Dallas, Texas in 2022.
Charles, you know what that means? It means nothing.
Yeah.
Even one of the presidential candidates said it that it means nothing. It just shows that, okay, well, if you come into this city, you're welcomed. It doesn't even give you a visa. If you apply for a visa, it can't even help you for your visa application. It means nothing. Charles, I've never applied.
Right.
And I will never apply for citizenship of any other country.
Yeah, but
I'm a Nigerian.
right. But
I believe in Nigeria. I lived in the UK for a period of about 12 years. I had a permanent stay.
So you were a permanent resident in the UK.
But I had indefinite stay,
Right, okay.
which means